I can't help but use sporting analogies. And I like to use the analogy of a relay and a baton. I like to think of the customer very much like being a baton in a relay race. Imagine you're a member of the Australian team. You're in Rio a little bit back. You're wearing the green and gold. And the stadium's packed with 100,000 people. You're carrying the baton, the customer. You've got two jobs. One, when the gun goes off, you've got to run like blazes and add value with every step you take when you're in charge of that baton. But as a member of an Olympic relay team, you have another responsibility. You need to understand the strengths and speed and weakness of who's passing you the baton and practice that smooth transfer. You need to understand the strengths and speed and weakness of who you're passing it on to and practice that smooth transfer. Because there can be record-breaking performances in one area of Yarra Valley water. Someone drops the baton elsewhere. What happens? You've lost it. And it takes time to get those seamless processes in place. It takes time. It takes energy. But it takes a whole lot more to stoop down and pick up the baton. And everyone has to realize they're on the same team. Now, do I sound committed to this service? Some of you said you sound evangelical. You sound like Billy Graham. But I've got to confess I wasn't always. I told you my first job in WEPA was in Australia was at Brody High. My second was in WEPA in far north Queensland, working in a bauxite mine for Rio Tinto. There were 3,000 guys in town, 6 women. One of the other women thought it was a gold mine, not a bauxite mine, but that's another story. We won't go there. And I was given the job as a computer operator. I'd never seen a computer in my life before. They said, don't worry, you've got a science degree, you'll pick it up. Anyway, I was given the job of doing the all-night payroll. And about 3 in the morning, my boss left with the immortal words, don't worry, Catherine, nothing can go wrong, which should have been my first clue. About 3 in the morning, the whole system goes clunk, and I'm going, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I did everything I was supposed to. I just work here. But you know what? I'm embarrassed to share that story, because that point in time, I didn't just work there. At that point in time, I was carrying the baton for the entire Rio Tinto organization. And a computer operator on a mine site in the late 70s was 3 steps below a janitor in the hierarchy. But they never made me feel an important part of the team, like I hope everyone feels today based on what you've seen from your executive. And I didn't realize that if the guys didn't get their payroll, they would go on strike, which meant the next stage in the relay, the bauxite wouldn't be loaded to go the next stage in the relay down to Gladstone to be made into aluminium, to go the next stage in the relay to be made into, raw materials for fridges, ovens, to go the next stage to wholesale retail, to ultimately go the whole cycle and pay the salary of a lowly computer operator. But no one made me feel an important part of the team. And let me tell you, the 2 most underutilized words in organizations today are thank you. In your statement, putting yourself in other people's shoes. Because, people don't really care how much you know till they know how much you care about them and their problems. And it's really important to understand that. And why there's a picture out there of hot lemon and honey was one of the best examples I've ever had of great service. I was speaking at a conference in Perth, and I arrived with no voice, which is an occupational hazard in my business. And the receptionist went through her standard script. This is the pool, this is the golf course. I'm sick, I just want to go to bed. I get to my room, there's a knock on the door. Room service? I went, I have no idea room service. And the voice on the other side of the door said, yes, Miss DeVrye, we know you didn't order room service, but we also know you're not feeling well, and we've got some hot lemon and honey with our compliments. And sure enough, on a tray was some hot lemon and honey and a vitamin C tablet. What's more, there was a handwritten note from the chef that said, if you'd like anything special for dinner that's not on the menu, like chicken soup, we'd be happy to do that for you. There's another handwritten note from the concierge that said, if you'd like us to go into town and get you drugs, legal sort that is, we'd be happy to do that. Now, I get to stay in lovely hotels 70, 80 nights a year. But long after I forget how much marble is in the foyer, what shampoos are in the shower, what do I remember? That service, because that receptionist did not check her brains in when she arrived at work. She acted as a champion member of the team and passed the baton seamlessly along. And it made it the most memorable night I've ever had in a hotel. Well, at least from a customer service perspective. I do have a life. I used to have a life. No, let's not go there. And the next morning I called her in, and the people I was speaking to gave her a standing ovation. She said, shucks, I was just doing my job. I just put myself in your shoes, how I would feel if I was sick and a long way from home. And I ended up writing a book called Hot Lemon and Honey, because just as hot lemon and honey can soothe your throat, hot lemon and honey service can soothe your soul.